disappointed to find out that that wasn't the case. Let's see.
You have to be here. That's what you were thinking.
Were you trying to read my face? Because Marcus was actually thinking it. Yeah.
Oh, there's a policy in there that's education for employment, which was new. I didn't.
And which one?
It's 2420, that same section. And I don't know if you guys were able to track. I did not sit down and compare because the numbers don't match, so it's hard to just, I can't sit down with the current policy manual and say, oh, number for number, they match up or don't match up.
No, we did not do that because
Yeah, it's kind of impossible.
right, because each number is not.
They're all different.
Neola has their numbering system, and
I
don't know how the current ones were numbered.
Yeah, I will eventually get used to the new system. I'm not yet.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. This one just felt really new to me.
And some maybe because Neola
Some of
covers
them
a lot
are
more.
newer than.
Right.
Okay, it could be just a new one that wasn't familiar to me.
So I feel like this is all kind of part of like ACP, right? Academic career planning.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. These are all it. In the 5,000 section, there's policy around truancy, of course. And I had questions about the referral to the DA, because I know we've gotten some feedback from the county on what the county wants in terms of truancy, and I'm just sort of, I guess I'm curious, I don't know that it matters how the policy is written or not written, just wanting to make sure that however the policy is written doesn't then fall out of what we are doing locally. Because I know there's been a lot of conversation with Polk County.
Yeah, the county has a multiple step process that you have to do specific and in order. I don't know that that would have anything to do with school policy.
Okay.
It's just how you file it, if that's what you're asking.
Got it.
Like they're very picky about, oh, you didn't do this step, right? And then once you file the whole thing, it's really in their hands, and then whether something comes out of that or not is out of our hands.
And Polk and Burnett County are government in the same state, but they operate differently, much differently.
And I think it's also kind of one of those things like DPI, and there's those policies and rules coming from them, but like it's not always, like how it happened. Like the school has to do what they have to do, but then, like you said, Erin, like once you have done whatever your county expects of you, if the kid still isn't attending, it's really like,
right.
Yeah.
We fill out the forms, we've documented, we've complied, and now we wait. And
so as long as we're doing our part, somebody can't come back to say, the school isn't following policy on it. Right?
I just want to make sure that what our policy says we're supposed to do ends up matching up with what the county says we're supposed to do, so that if we follow the county's process, we don't inadvertently not follow our policy.
Like, just remember, Burnett and Polk County may have different processes,
True.
So that's the odd thing. You can have two kids with exactly the same situation, and Burnett may handle it different than Polk.
Yeah.
Well, our thresholds of when to act come from state statute.
Right.
So that's got to be.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. $58.50. So this is on social events, and the last two lines of the policy one says, no student otherwise eligible for participation in a school social event will be denied such participation as a punitive device. But then the next line says, participation in school events is not a right and may be denied to any student who has demonstrated disregard for the rules of the school. To me, those things are in conflict, and I just don't know if I'm reading that wrong, but it felt like those two sentences are fighting with each other.
No student otherwise eligible for participation, so they have to be eligible. So if there's a academic or a behavioral
They're
requirement,
not eligible.
then if they are eligible,
Got it.
they're eligible to participate. So they've made the standard for academics and behavior, so now they won't be denied to participate, and the school can, by rights, not allow a student to do it. So I know it's a little confusing there, but if they're eligible, nothing else blocks them. Race, gender, all those is the way I read that.
Oh, okay.
But maybe not. Yeah, let's double check on that one.
Yeah, it just is goofy language. I feel like the two.
Right, I see when you read it, boom, boom. It's
Yeah,
like,
wait,
even
what
if
did I
the
just
second,
read?
even if the last sentence was ahead of the second to last sentence, it'd make more sense.
Yes, that would fix it. Or go a long way to fix it, I think. Correct.
Kinda.
Kinda.
But we'll,
There's.
if we improve it tonight, then the next time our
Yeah.
meeting gets better.
None of these things are things that I think we have to hold up approval of the manual for, but I did want to try and get some very
Sure, well, that's good.
Like, that would be things that we would come back from that.
Yeah. Let's see. And then 7,000. So we're making our way around. 7440.01. That's the video surveillance and electronic monitoring. 7440.01.
Oh, yeah.
Video surveillance and electronic monitoring. There's a requirement in here for notification of surveillance, and there's a sentence in the middle, and I don't know exactly what our current policy book says and how this policy written by Neola might be different, so this might be why, but there is a sentence in here that says, additionally, because it's talking about making sure that there are legible and visible signs at the entrance to the building and those kinds of things, but then it also says the district administrator is directed to annually notify parents and students through the student handbook and staff through the staff handbook of the use of video surveillance and electronic monitoring systems, which may include, and it kind of goes through that. And so I think since we're updating our student handbook, I don't think this is in the current handbook. I don't think it has been, but so we'd be adopting tonight a policy that changes something we should add to our handbook that we're also about to adopt. Possibly.
And then when that one came up, I walked down the hallway to make sure it was on the main entrances.
Yeah.
And then we also have cameras on our buses, and
Right.
in the box the camera's on, there's a sign that says this bus has got surveillance equipment. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if we adopt this policy, it changes what needs to be in your handbook, is I think what I'm saying.
There's a spot in the handbook on page 7 that says surveillance camera.
Does it have that? Okay.
All
I
right.
missed it. Thank you. I looked, but I was missing it.
It's pretty small.
And then you went through all the policies too for the
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
I
it
don't
just
have to look at the
stating that-
policies.
That it exists? Is that basically what?
It's just a
It lets
notification, it's
people
just
know that you're
letting them
reading it.
know, but because the
Right.
language was so specific that it had to be in the handbook, it's not just like, oh, you can have a letter as part of your like open house or registration packet. Sure. It doesn't allow for that, it was very specific, so I was like, well, we better make sure we're, because this was written differently than I'd seen it in our other.
Yeah, you can check it out, it's in the sentence in there.
Okay.
Let's see. Surveillance cameras and recording devices are used in district buildings and transportation vehicles. Is what's in that. Okay.
Yep, so it's in the handbook.
Um,
The play handbook will be in next month's agenda, I'll make sure it's in there, yeah, so it'll be okay.
this is just another issue maybe to talk with Ed about, not something we need to solve tonight. I just know that it is an issue that had come up in the past, and I wasn't sure exactly if or how it had gotten resolved. It's in the 8600 transportation policy. Let's see. So obviously it's talking about transportation for there's a section in here about transportation for activities, and my question was, because I know this had come up in the past, is once a student becomes an adult, are they allowed to transport themselves to and or from any district activity? So a senior in their senior year is 18, are they allowed to drive themselves to a district sponsored activity or not?
Is there something in the athletic code that says they have to use?
Well, I know that there's been situations where we have done that in athletics.
Well, yeah, you can even take like kids going back and forth between Luck and Frederic for practices, you know, that transport themselves.
But that wasn't because they were
That wasn't
18 or 17.
No, they're just,
Yeah. I've always treated the 18-year-olds just like everyone else, because they still think they're a kid and we're ours and responsible for them.
But there are places, other places in our policies where kids who become 18 while they're still in school have rights that other kids don't.
Yeah, they can sign off on
And
it.
they can sign off on
They
stuff,
can
and so
deny their
part of why it
parents
came
access
up,
to
like
things,
they can report their own absence or things like that, and so that was a question that had come up. There are places in the policy where it talks about things that they can do that another student, like they have more control over what medications they take during the day or things like that. That are the difference. They can't carry them, but they can say, I need to take this medication, here's my medication, the parent doesn't have to do it. There's that kind of stuff that they can do, and I just know that had come up once a student becomes 18, so I just thought if we're gonna follow up on making sure policies are hopefully addressing some of the things that we want.
And this was actually approved.
Well, this says, the policy of the board is to provide transportation for those students of any age whose distance from their school makes the service necessary within the first, within the limitations established by the state law regulations.
And it might not be allowed.
Oh, to provide transportation to those students of any age. Never mind, this is more about getting them back and forth to school, just in general, but if they're our student, we can't say you're 18, you don't get to ride a bus anymore.
Right.
No,
Sorry, that was, I misread this. I read this the wrong way.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's maybe just something for us to think
Yeah.
about with the transportation policy to make sure that, because I know that was a thing that came up a couple of years ago, because sometimes we have years where a bunch of seniors have birthdays in the fall and it becomes an issue. There are those types of questions that come up, and it's helpful if we're clear ahead of
the
time.
most common one is seniors thinking they can excuse themselves from school. But then that's covered with the office maintains the authority to decide what's excused and unexcused.
Right, that was it. I did read them all.
Yeah.
And I'll go over, like I said, the other things that I found were like typos. And I can go over those with Jessica if everyone's okay, just we can improve with typos getting fixed. There's a couple places where the Neola language is still in there or that kind of stuff. Before they get published. Anybody else have questions about policy? Just me?
We're in your element.
Yeah. I was like, I read it.
Well, and I can say too for you, Carrie, because you worked so thoroughly on the old policy book, that was never any, I wasn't here long enough to do much of that before we got involved with this, so.
All right, well, if there is no more discussion or questions on policy, can I get a motion to approve the adoption of the new Neola policies?
Go ahead. You do it.
I'll make the motion.
You should do it.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, well done, policy team. You got a new policy book. Everyone's very excited about it. It's all ready.
We're excited for our next policy meeting.
That would be nice.
What was it, July 8th or whatever date we met, and then it was like, and Jessica's like, we're like, oh, we did it. She goes, oh, but yeah, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
we're
you
like,
didn't.
let's approve this, and then we'll get that next date on the calendar, so.
No, you didn't.
But we can do ongoing, which it should be. I mean, yeah.
Okay, jumping into our action items. The first one is consideration of possible action regarding the Wisconsin Model Academic Standards for the 25-26 school year. This was in your extras.
It's in the extras, and that is pretty much straight from DPI. And Jessica did a great job working it.
That's also in our policy book. We have to approve the academic standards. They're given to us by DPI. And so,
Was that every July?
yeah, every July we'll do this same thing. So can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that a motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, academic standards approved. All right, next is discussion on the 612 student handbook.
I don't remember. Page I would go through.
Marcus, what page was that on this one?
Or the surveillance.
Yeah,
Page
7. It's like, so there it is. Thank you. Okay. Well, does anyone want to talk this ID?
I'm giggling, since I've seen the sketch, I was like, why is that one more minute in first period? Like, I'm up for announcements and stuff like that, right?
I guess, I mean, we should,
That's so
I guess we should, address the dress code issue that was brought up.
Or additional page that's on.
The dress code? It is 25. If you control F, you can search for words.
No, I just.
That's really fancy.
You're asking, you're asking a lot.
That's so
I
fancy, I didn't know that existed.
very. I don't know my own words that well. I just know how to use that. That's how I found surveillance.
I just thought you like had this
You're
memorized.
like,
You're like,
yeah, you shouldn't have outed
Got his
yourself.
principal hat on. Of course. Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right. Well, I would love to hear if other people have thoughts before I jump in.
I did have a reaction to the midriffs with genitals, buttocks, and nipples, because I don't know, I mean, a lot of people, wear belly shirts. I don't see how that interferes with academia, or I think it's more, probably gender kind of specific to females. Could be wrong on that. So I guess I would want to admit that. And then I kind of wondered about, students may not wear hoods, skull caps, or any headgear that covers up ears. So are skull caps like baseball caps, or?
They're like a small winter cap. So like,
Okay,
kind of like a beanie,
okay.
but a come down.
And then with so hoods, like they can still wear a hoodie, right? It's just.
Well, this would say you could wear the hoodie, it just shouldn't be up over your head, right?
Okay.
I mean, if I read that correctly.
Okay. So is that in reference to like,
I mean, do you wanna talk about that at all? Or, I mean, I
is
can
it
put
like,
my
is it
guesses on
because like
but-
earbuds?
I think a lot of it is earbuds. I think a lot of it is also like the students will put their hoods on and they can't really see the board very well. They can't participate in academics as well as they could without it. Not that they couldn't participate some. I think it brings down the level of academic participation in a classroom. And they kind of disappear into their hoods where we want these students to be good, productive members of their classrooms. I think I've just seen hoods become an issue in the classroom. Just in my 2 years teaching here, and anything that's covering their ears, I've got, I can't say how many times I've had kids who know I don't have earbuds in, and they'll just lie right to your face, and then they've got earbuds in because they're covered, because they're wearing hoods. And I hate to be that, well, show me your ears every day, but that shouldn't be a thing that we have to really do. I don't think so. It's really that is where I see it.
Okay, I was just curious, like,
Yeah.
what is this?
And yet, Marcus, this would allow baseball caps, right?
Yes, baseball caps. I've been looking at baseball caps.
And I looked at the neighboring districts, Luck, Webster, Transfer, Unity, and St. Clair Falls, where these schools are open enrollment out. Those do not allow any hats in their policies.
Okay,
And as far as the midriff, I just think that should be covered. I don't see any reason to have it. And I don't care if you're a boy or a girl or whatever. I just think it should be covered.
So I had a reaction as well to the dress code proposal. For me, and I know that not everyone that's here at this board table or even the administration was here when we changed the dress code back in 2023 to what it is now. But I was part of those conversations and a really big advocate for those changes, and I still feel strongly about that. And I think we made an effort at that time to really focus on the notion that the board should not be interfering with parents' ability to make decisions regarding their child's appearance together with their child. Except when their choices interfere with the educational program of the schools. That's what we say in our policy. That's what this proposed handbook still says. The hood discussion makes sense to me because that has an academic impact of the earbuds and potential, less engagement in class and other things. Those pieces make more sense to me. I think that adding midriff as a thing that can't be showing, I don't know that there's any way anyone can convince me a midriff is considered a private area. I don't think that's whenever we're using the phrase private parts on a body, that's not commonly thought to be a midriff. I don't think it can be described that way. And I think that whether or not a midriff shows, depending on what shirt you're wearing, has a lot to do with your body size and type. And we say we're not going to enforce codes against students because of body size and type. When we made the changes to the dress code in 2023, part of the strongest reason we did that is the negative impact that those conversations were having on our student population, and particularly our female student population. I don't know that I can adequately convey how much damage those conversations have done through the years. I know students from this district who are 10 years gone from school and can describe to anyone in this room exactly how shamed they felt by the conversations over their bodies and their dress code. And I'm very protective of us not going back to that. So I'm really concerned about that. And I just don't know that there's any way to enforce that policy without doing that damage. And I worry, my question is, I think I think that the outcome of that is too costly. I don't know what we achieve by drawing that specific line. And so everyone knows, Kyle and I have had this conversation. He's aware. We're both aware that we're in very different places on this topic.
And we're fine
which
with
is
that.
totally fine.
I appreciate the historical perspective on that. I mean, I think that's helpful in the discussion of it.
And I did look at those same 5 districts, and they all have no mid-drift. I thought St. Croix Falls wrote it the best. They wrote, Towson must be long enough to be tucked in, which I thought was great. That was a nice way of saying it. So, let's see, you have to tuck it in, but it's got to be long enough to be tucked in. So.
And I know that in historically, and I mean, I don't know, Erin, I don't want to. You were part of those conversations as well, because at that time you were the principal.
Going back to
I know you just not knowing the other area that we had a lot of conversation about is the spot that many of our staff were put in. We had many staff who did not feel comfortable being able to have those conversations with female students. And so they would call the office and ask the office to do it. And it fell to office staff to have that conversation. And I think part of why they were uncomfortable is because there's no script that keeps you from commenting on a person's body, if that's the comment you're making.
We had a group of students who I commended them for doing a phenomenal job of not just like complaining and blasting on social media, right? They collectively came together, presented a presentation to me, students and parents. And one of the students in particular did a really good job, and she said, I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I do my makeup, I do my hair, and when a teacher tells me that I'm unprofessional, and I look at other students who haven't showered in weeks and come to school in pajamas, then I question what part is unprofessional. Same with the word inappropriate. Why is my belly button inappropriate, right? So we had a strong adult standing come to the table, and the students did a great job at the time. I ended up being involved in a lot of research. A lot of this language, the current language, comes from Osceola's. Osceola has it scripted very similarly. Yes, I was here. It was, not the funnest moment of my life. It was a couple of months process that we went through.
I just don't know how much focus of like that in particular do we want to take them out of the classroom about a belly button. Then certain students are gonna maybe want to wear clothes that they want to wear. We talk about freedom, and is there what is it? Sorry, my computer.
I think you might be talking about the mode of dress and grooming as a manifestation of personal style and individual preference.
Right. And right now, I have a stepdaughter. She just graduated. Yay. But I'm not into Meet the Kardashians, okay? Not all about that. But she was. All her girlfriends were. They got straight A's. They're going to college. They live in Minnesota. Maybe it's a little bit more open to that dress code, but all of them were allowed to wear belly shirts. And I guess when I look at her, I don't sexualize her. I thought that she looked kept together and very nice. So I guess as far as midriffs, it doesn't bother me, but putting it next to genitalia, I just don't find it appropriate.
Can I share one more thing, and then I just don't, because it's board discussion. But the hardest part I had was helping the staff come up with an answer. So when a student or a parent says why, what's the answer? And we had some what I would think are wildly inappropriate answers, which then is what you're referring to.
It is.
But what is the answer? Because the word appropriate got challenged, the word professional got challenged, with, I thought, very good points. But it's how do we protect the staff in the answer to the why?
Well, I guess I have a question about what the why, so we changed the dress code in 2023 to what it is now. Has there been a